Hello, hello. All right, good evening, everybody. We'll start the business meeting here in a couple more minutes. As we do, each of the booths for the prize game will be closing. So if you want to hurry through the last of those, you've got about 2 minutes, and then we'll start this business meeting and kind of suspend some of those activities for the moment. So if you want to find a seat, we'll get this going here pretty quick.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Okay, we're gonna start the meeting here in just a minute. That was it. All right. Well, my name's Stacia Cannon, and I'm not only a proud member of DMEA, but I'm also proud to be your North Region Director, as well as the Board Chair. Thank you very much for joining us today. And on behalf of the Board of Directors, I would like to officially call the 2025 DMEA Annual Meeting to order. With that action, I hereby confirm the closure of director elections effective at 6:50 p.m. today. The final election results will be announced later in the meeting. If everyone can please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America Thank you. Board Secretary and Treasurer Kevin Williams, would you please deliver the quorum report and confirm the official notice of this annual meeting?
Yeah, it is. Everybody hear me okay? All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Stacia. I'd now like to give the quorum report and confirm that this annual meeting was properly noticed. And please bear with me as I realize that this particular part of the annual meeting is a bit like watching paint dry. But we need to do it. As Secretary of the DMEA Board, I, Kevin Williams, I'm pleased to report that there are at least 50 properly registered DMEA members attending this annual meeting. Woo! Way to go! This constitutes a quorum under our bylaws for the purpose of electing board directors and conducting the annual meeting. In accordance with our bylaws, notice of this meeting was posted on the DMEA website at least 6 months in advance of today's date. Members were notified as well by U.S. mail and email about today's meeting, including the date, time, and location at least 10 days prior to today. In addition, a notice with the date and time of this meeting was published in the Montrose Daily Press and the Delta County Independent, and the notice may be reviewed on our website, www.dmea.com. So that concludes my quorum report and reading of the notice. I'd now like to hand the baton over to the treasurer of the DMEA board to give the audit report. And, oh, wait a minute, that happens to be me. So, first I want to say how grateful I am to such a good turnout. This is just terrific. And your participation and your voice matter a great deal in our co-op. I'm feeling energized just being around such a great group of members, and I'm amped up about today's meeting. So, one important responsibility of the DMEA board is to establish fiscal policies, adopt an annual budget, review monthly financial reports, and ensure that an annual audit is conducted. As such, I'm pleased to report that DMEA has successfully completed its annual audit for the year ending December 31st, 2024. The audit was conducted by Forvis LLP, a reputable and independent national accounting firm. I'm happy to attest that the consolidated financial statements for both DMEA and our subsidiary, Elevate, fairly present DMEA's strong financial position for the fiscal year 2024 in all material respects and in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. So this thorough review ensures that DMEA continues operating with the highest integrity and efficiency. I want to extend my gratitude to our outstanding accounting department and senior staff for their work and dedication, which has been instrumental in achieving these positive results. I know later on in the meeting you're going to hear a little bit more about our financial position, so stay tuned. And to fulfill our commitment to being a very transparent co-op and being accountable to you, our members, the audit is publicly available on our website. And again, that's www.dmea.com. And I am now going to turn it back to Stacia to introduce the board.
Thank you, Kevin. Secretary, treasurer, and he forgot he's also the comedic relief at most of the board meetings. So if you want more of that, you can attend in person or on Teams. So with official matters now complete, please allow me to introduce all other members of the board of directors, and please hold applause until all introductions are made. We have Ryan Sedgley from District 1, Steve Matheny, District 2, Jacob Gray, District 3, Emily Sanchez, District 4, Kevin Williams, District 5, Damon Lockhart, District 6, Eno Heuscher, District 7, Jock Fleming, South Region. Let's give you guys a round of applause. Great job. I'm now pleased to present the 2024 Board President Report. As your board president, it's an honor to stand before you and reflect on our progress together. Each year, this meeting reminds me how deeply rooted DMEA is in our communities. And I'm very proud to be serving alongside the board of directors that puts members first with every decision we make. Let's start with what sets us apart as a cooperative. It's the cooperative difference. At DMEA, we don't exist to generate profits for shareholders. We exist to serve our members, you. That principle guides every decision we make. We prioritize reliability, safety, and affordability in everything that we do, and it's not just our electric service. That same member-driven, member-first mindset drives our broadband subsidiary, Elevate Fiber, as well. Whether we're delivering power or high-speed internet, both companies are united by a common goal: to serve with community purpose above simple profits. As a board, our job isn't to run the day-to-day operations. Our job is governance, oversight, stewardship, and strategic direction. We ask tough questions, we approve budgets, we establish policies, and most importantly, we ensure that the values of our members are always reflected in DMEA's priorities and actions. And those priorities are clear: strengthen our core electric service, advance broadband access through Elevate, and show concern for our communities. One of the most meaningful ways that those values come to life is through the return of capital credits. DMEA returned $3.3 million in capital credits to our member owners in December of 2024. That wasn't a rebate or a bonus. That was your share of the margins that we earned together. It's one of the most tangible examples of how a cooperative works. When we do well, you benefit. That's the cooperative difference in action. The same commitment is behind another major accomplishment, and that's keeping your electric rates stable for 6 consecutive years. So that's a huge accomplishment. In a time when energy prices are climbing nationwide, holding rates steady for 6 years takes more than luck. It takes careful planning, innovative partnerships, and strong financial stewardship. We've been able to protect our members from rising costs while we still invest in the critical infrastructure that powers your homes and your future. Operation Roundup is another example of how our cooperative shows concern for our communities. Operation Roundup is a simple way members help fellow members. Each month, over 7,000 of you round up your electric bill, and those cents add up, providing thousands of dollars to support local families and organizations meeting basic needs. A volunteer board of fellow members decides how those funds are distributed. Just one example, a $1,000 donation from Operation Roundup helped North Fork Senior Connections deliver locally sourced soup to seniors in need. That is concern for community in action, and it's what being a cooperative is all about. If you aren't enrolled in Operation Roundup, I encourage you, if you're able to, join. It really does make a difference right here in our communities. And finally, none of this would be possible without the dedication of our staff. Whether they're restoring power after a brutal storm, splicing fiber, answering phone calls, or maintaining our fleet and facilities, their work is what powers this cooperative forward. To our team, thank you. Your service, yes. I like seeing the high fives back there with some of the DMEA members. You guys earn them, yes. Your service, your skill, and your heart are evident in everything that you do. And on behalf of the board of directors and the entire membership, thank you. Yeah, finally, another thank you goes to the members, to all of you for trusting us, your board, with the cooperative. It's a responsibility we all take very seriously, and we are honored to hold this place. Tonight, we celebrate the shared progress we've made and the exciting road ahead. I am pleased to introduce our CEO now, Jack Johnston, who will highlight an expanded 2024 year in review.
Thank you, Stacia. Thank you for joining us tonight. It's one of my favorite days of the year working at DMEA. I'm excited to share some highlights of 2024, but first, I would like to welcome some special guests who are in attendance this evening. First and foremost, Wendell Kuntz, Chair of the Delta County Commissioners, and his colleague Craig Fuller, the newest county commissioner, and as of last week, as a new resident of Delta County, my county commissioners. Welcome. Welcome Sandy Head, the Executive Director of Montrose Economic Development Corporation. She's out of her hood, but she's also still welcome up here in Delta, I know. Sandy, thank you for coming tonight. And I'm going to introduce a couple of industry colleagues who've made it, and then we'll applaud for them at the end. First, Tom Carl. Tom is the CREA, or Colorado Rural Electric Association Board Treasurer. He's also a director at Gunnison County Electric, which is the neighboring cooperative to us to the east. But he's also a DMEA member and has been for a long time. So Tom's over here. Chase Whitney. We'll hold the applause till the very end. They're excited. We're all excited to have him here. Chase Whitney is Vice President of Power Supply at Guzman Energy. Guzman is one of our most important partners, and you'll see when we talk about power supply a little bit later, just exactly how important they are. And lastly, Lance Lehigh, he's the CFO of San Miguel Power. That is our neighboring cooperative to the south. So let's give them all a round of applause for being here. Okay, so I am going to give a 2024 in review. But really, and I said this to our team earlier today, that what I'm going to talk about tonight is the accomplishments of this group here. You know, I get the privilege of leading this organization on a day-to-day basis, and the people that I get to work with, it's an honor, and work for and work side by side with, and this represents that group right here. It's a dedicated group that's focused and committed to the cooperative principles. It's a principle that's near to my heart because we get to operate with the heart. The cooperative principles prioritize concern for our members and for our community. So everything I discuss from this point forward is going to be a direct reflection of their efforts and my appreciation for all the efforts they've put in for a fantastic 2024. This last year we finished with 129 employees. We will top out at 150 employees this year, so it just reflects the growing organization that we have, particularly driven by the advancement of our subsidiary Elevate. But as I always do, I start out with the most important responsibility that I have, and my highest priority as CEO on a day-to-day basis, and that's safety. There's no greater responsibility that each of us have individually, not only to ourselves and the actions that we take on a regular basis, but the actions that we take along with our coworkers in making them accountable. I've said it and I'll repeat it probably every year I'm at this podium. You can have policies, you can have practices, you can have procedures, but you don't have safety unless you care, unless you have each other's back, and we have each other's back. And that's a place that I'm proud to work with on a day-to-day basis. I'm happy that everybody gets to go home each night to their families, and that safety also extends to you. In 2024, we were part of the Rural Electric Safety Achievement Program, which is an assessment, a team of independent safety auditors comprised of Colorado cooperatives, employees, statewide cooperative representatives. That group spent 3 days at our facilities inspecting all of our tools, storage spaces, cash handling procedures, hazardous material procedures, and more. And I'm going to say that of 2024, this was absolutely the most exciting and proudest thing that I think we accomplished. So I put in here in comparison our previous audit, which was in 2021, 18 categories here that DMEA Elevate combined were assessed on. We had 17 out of those 18 categories as a blue, which is satisfactory. I will say that as this program has evolved over the years, the standard gets higher. So you always want to achieve a high standard rather than exceed a lower standard, and that's exactly what these graphs represent. You can see where we started in 2021, very, very sporadic kind of results, and you can see the consistency that we have with blue satisfactory at a higher standard in 17 out of 18 categories. That 18th category in green, actually, I will say, as a compliment to our staff, we actually in one subcategory did not qualify to get the highest rating in that category, but our auditors thought we did so well in every other category, they still gave us that rating. So they even went out of their bounds to do that. So our team is safety focused, and this reflects that. And I think if we did anything well last year, this would be at the top of the list. As I said, the most important thing that we do on a day-to-day basis. Second to safety is our core business. This is what we do. You rely on us, and we understand the responsibility we have and the accountability we have and how much you rely on us on a day-to-day basis for your electricity or your internet if you're one of our customers. These efforts to improve our safety include patrolling lines, pole inspections. We'd even do a helicopter patrol in some of our more remote areas, tree trimming, line upgrades, equipment replacements. We have over 40,000 power poles out there and almost 3,500 miles of line under our care. That's above ground and underground. So achieving this is no small task. And you can see up here, much of this is done by the staff that are listed here. 21 journeyman linemen, a very specialized skill set and profession. 6 apprentice linemen who are aspiring to become journeyman linemen. 5 system operators. Our system operators are the ones that if you call in to report an outage, that's who you're talking to, and that's a 24/7 operation. And the result of that is, as you can see, 158 minutes of average minutes without power. So that's across the board. That's actually a very good figure. We certainly try to avoid outages when we can, but when we do have outages, we get on them right away. 158 is slightly higher by 2 minutes than last year, but significantly lower than if you go back 2 years ago by about 12 minutes. So you can see systematically we have been able to improve our system overall. Much of that, though, is reliant on Mother Nature, and most of our outages are driven by Mother Nature, or, as you would be surprised, as I am every year, how many people decide to hit our poles with their cars. They usually survive, the poles don't. But not only that, and I'll stop for a second because, you know, these folks are the ones that, and I'll talk about Elevate in a second, when there is an outage or when there's a car hit or Mother Nature does take out some of our system, they're the ones that are out at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, thinking about the fact that you're going to wake up at 5 or 6 or 7 and do everything they can to get that system back up and running so your lights are back on. Or it's in the middle of the winter. They know it could be their kids, sometimes it is, that are waiting for that heat to get back on or the lights to get back on. So I'm going to take a moment and give an applause to our linemen who do a fantastic job out there. It's a very tough, very unforgiving, very specialized, skilled business that they're in, and we're proud to have them, and we're all lucky and better off because they exist. So we're talking about Elevate. If you're one of our customers, and hopefully you are, and if you're not, hopefully you will become one of our customers. Those folks who are also working 24/7, because sometimes, and it seems to be more recently too, trucks hitting our lines and snagging our lines, and the internet goes out for a temporary period of time. These are the folks that are going to try to get it back up. 4 field service techs, 5 network operations techs, 2 network engineers. But most importantly, our measurement here is what we call the 5 nines, and which is the standard in the broadband industry for the highest level of reliability of your network. And we are 5 nines. We're 5 nines for a second year in a row. I reported this last year, and we will continue to try to achieve 5 nines on a going forward basis. That said, with the specialized folks, it takes everybody. It's a puzzle, and everyone's a piece of that puzzle. And when that puzzle's all fit together, we get to benefit from that. I'm a member myself, I'm a customer myself, and I know that if something goes out, that there's a great group of special individuals who are going to get that back on. So it's those specialized folks, but it's everybody. We are a 24/7 operation, and we take that seriously, and we will continue to provide these kind of levels of service going forward. So this is a slide that I know I would get questions on at the end, and still can take questions on, but of great curiosity of many individuals, and that's our power supply mix. As you can see here, we generate just over 8% of our power supply locally. You can see that broken out to the right there, local solar generation. About 2.3 million of those kilowatt hours is actually from the net metering from solar, from homes that are generating in excess of their production. The rest are from our community solar gardens that we have. But more importantly, and we're excited about the local hydro generation with 3 drops that we have on the South Canal coming through the Gunnison Tunnel as the source. Over 42, almost 42.5 million kilowatt hours generated by high-head hydro. That is very unique. As far as I know, there's not anyone anywhere near us or bordering states that is doing this kind of generation, and that's what sets DMEA apart. 91%, as I mentioned, how important the Guzman partnership is. Guzman is a wholesale power supplier that provides the rest of our power. Their mix, if we follow the Colorado averages within this, would be roughly on average 30 to 40% of renewable sourcing. It's primarily going to be with wind and solar. However, I say that could fluctuate at any given time. We could sometimes be 80, 90% renewable. We could sometimes be 80, 90% baseload generation, which is primarily going to be gas or coal. Now, next year, if you attend our annual meeting, you'll see this graph change significantly, and there'll be about another 11.5 to 12% of local power supply that will come from the project that I'm going to highlight here in a minute. And that is the Garnet Mesa Solar Project, which, if you live in Delta County, you probably have seen it, heard about it, driven by it, maybe even inconvenienced during the major construction phase of that. I know because I received calls, and I know there were some other calls received up here, and we certainly tried to make that the least impactful as we could. But nonetheless, this is exciting. This is what's going to add another 11, 12% roughly to our local power supply mix. So we're excited not only for what it brings and the partnership we have with Alluvial Power as well as Guzman Energy. We were able to very effectively negotiate an increase in our offtake of this, and it went from 20 megawatts to 30 megawatts. So you're talking roughly about 20% of our peak load, roughly, that could generate at any given time out of this project. So we're excited to bring that online. It will be energized probably within the next, or in production in the next couple of months. And that's ahead of schedule. So this graph back here, next year will be closer to about 20%. We'll have our local power supply. Now, what's exciting about this is that it's not just a solar array. It's actually an agrivoltaic project, which means that it will have a dual purpose. The second purpose is it's actually going to be grazing sheep on a seasonal basis. It's going to take a few years after the construction, obviously, the dirt moving, to bring it back to grass production. And once the grass production is up, then you'll start seeing sheep on a regular basis. Sperry Livestock Corporation of Delta County will actually be doing that and grazing them. So we're proud to see this project not only bring some additional renewable resources to us, but also bring a different type of industry and a first-time industry in the state of Colorado to this area. Okay, I'm going to shift gears a little bit. One of the cooperative principles that we have is number 6, cooperation amongst cooperatives. And a lot of that tends to come in the form of mutual aid. Mutual aid is when you may be overwhelmed by a specific incident or otherwise. Usually it's storm related, so if one of our neighboring co-ops has a major storm, takes out a lot of their system or otherwise, it overwhelms their ability to do that, so they call for mutual aid. It happens a lot in communities between fire departments, for example, if you have a major fire event. And so we take that seriously, always available for that. But we've taken that beyond our cooperative borders, and we've gone down not only serving our communities with our infrastructure, but we've taken that down to the Navajo Reservation. And I mentioned this last year, and we'll continue to mention this every year. But in 2024, some of our crews took their skills down there to Arizona, in fact, primarily New Mexico this time we worked. And we helped, for the third year, join a mission to once again bring power to homes that had long been in the dark. As you might recall, last year were about 13,000 homes or families in the Navajo Reservation without electricity, and we tried to put a dent in that. And some of us, my chief of staff, one of our board members, Eno, myself, went down there to work as well. So one of the great things is that when we go down there, we get to strip all of our DMEA titles, and we all get the same title as volunteer, and we all pitch in to try to make a difference, and I think we have. So last year, 2 crews over 2 weeks, 170 families connected, still 10,000 homes remaining. We were the first Colorado utility ever to participate in Light Up Navajo. Proud of that. After our first year participation, 7 others decided to join, so we were proud that that seeded some additional effort. We were one of the first co-ops in the nation to go down to the Navajo Reservation to do this, and now there's tens and tens of co-ops who can't. In fact, there's waiting lists now to get into this, whereas before they were scrambling to get folks. So that's one thing I think I'm very proud of, not only what we've done there and what we continue to do, but the fact that we help seed additional support and try to get Americans, and they're proud Americans down there, like that should have had back in the 1930s and 40s when this area was also part of the Rural Electrification Act. In fact, we just got back, so if you're here next year, we just got back a couple weeks ago from our project this year, so I'll have even more exciting news to share next year on what we did. Oops. However, we do things in our own community, cooperative principle number 7, and focus in our community, and you can see this last year. We had, for over 30,000 members, we made some significant contributions to the community, over $222,000 in scholarships and event sponsorships, 55 local organization events that were beneficiaries of that, 17 community events, and we supported one of our newest events, and we launched this past year, one of my favorites, Friday Night Lights. You can see that over to the right, where we attended football games across our service territory, rooting for the hometown teams at the time. DMEA sponsored admission for everybody. Elevate provided $2,000 donations to each of the schools. Technology funds as part of this. It was very well received. If you came out to the events, they were fantastic, and we want to continue to doing that in years to come. Okay, so let's talk about the subsidiary Elevate. We had a significant expansion in 2024 to bring fast, reliable internet to places that have never seen that, certainly becoming a much more critical need for individuals and communities. Last year, we brought fiber internet to 17 new grant areas, plus another 6 already in motion this year. We hit the 15,000 mark last year. We're currently at over 16,000 subscribers. This has been a project 9 years in the making, and identifying the areas, the gaps in our service territories where we need to bring that connectivity, even a competitive market, so that our communities are future ready. I will say proudly that as of now, we have 84% of all of our membership built out. we will achieve our strategic goal of 100% of our membership by the end of 2027. And we did, because of a donut hole in our territory with the City of Delta's municipal system, we actually, even before our original target, have now completed the build-out in all of the City of Delta. So it will be all of Montrose and Delta counties by the end of 2027. One of the things we launched last year, in fact, I just started this recently for myself, is Elevate IQ. We try to bring speed and reliability to our members, but we also prioritize safety in a different realm, safety online at home. 2024, about 2,700 members downloaded Elevate IQ. It's our free security app that has parental controls, content filters, and threat protection built right into it. Delivering that safe, reliable service is one of our caring objectives, and we're excited to bring this technology and be at the forefront of other broadband providers who are offering this type of service to each of our consumers. Talk a little bit on a broad brush on highlights of some of our financials overall for 2024. We added $32.3 million in new fiber assets into service, bringing the total fiber assets to just over 100 million. That's an amazing accomplishment. That's a 7% increase over last year. Can you continue to seek funding, although that's becoming a little more challenging under current government structures or regulations, although we have some pending right now. As of date, we have secured over $60 million of that $100 million to build out this plant through state and federal grants, and we're still on that pace to complete that project, as I mentioned, by the end of 2027. We probably have exhausted all of our grants, except for one pending grant, all of our grant options that are out there right now. But I will say, to the credit of this team, there is no other co-op that has been able to seek out and achieve the kind of grants that we have achieved in terms of the percentages or otherwise. And it's a fantastic testament to a board of directors who 10 years ago considered this. It's not an easy business. It's a very competitive business. It's risky, doesn't feel good in the first years, but at the end of the day, between that strategic objective and the efforts of the team, this area is not going to be left behind in the digital divide. We didn't do it by overextending ourselves. We added $38.8 million in total utility infrastructure in 2024. Our long-term debt only increased by $6.2 million, which reflects an effective use of our grant funding and responsible management of our available cash. Our strategy is working. Total revenues climbed nearly 7% last year, reaching $92.2 million. And while electric revenues dipped slightly, we did see an increase in our internet or ISP revenues, as well as our grant-related income. But it also takes disciplined expense management. At the same time, we kept close eyes on our cost. Our operating expenses only rose 2.4%. That outpaced inflation and shows how tightly our teams manage cost, even if we're expanding across both DME and Elevate. And that's a very difficult thing to do when you're growing so quickly, is to keep your costs contained, and this team does it extremely well. And what does that result in? Healthier margins. We finished with $8.6 million in operating margins. That's nearly $4 million better than last year. And that success allows us to reinvest, retire the capital credits that Stacia mentioned, and continue enhancing our services over time to our membership. But overall, these reflect a strong and stable financial position, as Kevin alluded to, that was proven out of our audit that we conducted last year. Returns are value to our members and plans confidently for our future. If you're interested in more details on our financials, we do post a public report after each board meeting each month that has our updated financials, and of course, you can look at our annual report, which is available in hard copy or on our website to look at more specifics in these areas. This was just a broad brush. So, that said, I would conclude before we get to my favorite part, which is Q&A, that the story is pretty clear that we were strong, focused, and always investigating ways to do better, and I think our results prove that. Safe, reliable, affordable are our main goals and objectives, and I think we've exceeded in each of those categories with an umbrella of safety above all of that. So with that, I'm going to allow you to speak to me, if you would like, and ask some questions. And if you'd like to, the podium's right here. Please feel free to come up and okay, the question was, if you didn't hear, would there be a possibility in the balloting for directors to show the maps of where each of the directors are representing? So as a reminder, we have 7 geographic districts, and then we have 2 regional districts. So every member here actually has 2 representatives for their membership, right? And we do have a map on our website, right? So the question is, can we look at being able to delineate that better as you're trying to vote who your representative is otherwise? We will take that suggestion. I appreciate that, and we'll go back and see how we can enhance our election process. I'm sure something can be accomplished. We're proud of the fact that we have made the election process hopefully easier through electronic balloting. I voted by Smart Hub this year. It was quick, simple, it was great. And hopefully many of you did that as well, and that will continue to get greater participation. But thank you for that suggestion, and we'll definitely follow up with that. I think we have a question here.
Good evening, Diane Carabetta. I want to thank you for all the great things you do in the community. And my question is regarding the solar fields. What is the end plan for disposal of the toxic stuff when it's done?
Okay, so the question is, with the Garnet Mesa Solar, I think you're referring to here in Delta County that I talked about, brand new facility, brand new panels that are there. Certainly panels have lifespans to them. So I can't answer the question very specifically because DMEA doesn't actually, they don't own those assets. Alluvial Power actually owns that, so they are the project owner and the project operator of that. We have an agreement to take off a certain portion of that outtake, as I mentioned, which will be 30 megawatts of the 80 megawatts capacity that's there. So we are not familiar at all with their decommissioning plan. It could be that there's not a decommissioning plan. I imagine there would be probably under their permit. But there also could be a life extension plan too, but it's brand new, and I would not have any details on that. However, we could follow up, help you get the answer to that if you want to meet me afterwards, and we can talk with Alluvial, and that may even be public record that we could go look at. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay. Seeing no further questions, thank you for your time and your engagement. Oh.
Thank you, members of the board, Joe Carabetta. While we're talking about solar farms, curiosity, the solar farm that's up there at the old data center on 50, is that operational? And if so, where's the power going?
Okay, so that's the one that you're seeing that's right off the highway there on Highway 50, right?
Yeah, by the county line.
Yeah, that's right. So DMEA is also not the owner of that project. It is operational, is functional. There is a data crypto center that is utilizing that power. The building you see right next to it is actually unoccupied right now, so that power is actually going to a building that you don't really see from the highway. What's not used by that crypto data center, data mining center, that excess then goes to Guzman Power, Guzman Energy, and that comes in, that's part of our power supply. So that mix of the 91% of Guzman, it will go in. Now, if you get down to the flow of electrons, those electrons are coming straight into our system. They're not going somewhere else. That's just the way you have exchange of electrons to get them to their least furthest distance. So we actually benefit from that if they overgenerate, but it's not a direct relationship between DMEA and ourselves.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Sure.
Wendell Kuntz, Delta County. Jack, welcome to Delta County. You're certainly a good
Thank
addition.
you.
You guys got a tough job, and I applaud your work here. My question, it would be, you showed 6 years of stable rates, and that's amazing. That's quite a benefit for us as members. What do you see in the future?
All right. So I was hoping I wouldn't get this question, but and leave it to my newest county commissioner to throw that out there. So in transparency, as we're a transparent organization, I do what's happened during that 6-year time is that we, as an organization, have been able to reduce our power costs. So that was definitely on the expense side a major contributor to our keep our rates stable like this. But during the same time, there's been an upward inflationary pressure, right, that we've had to absorb along the way. Ultimately, that catches up to you, right? And thirdly, and it's something that we know in the industry, we're about to join a regional transmission organization, an RTO, that's going to have some additional requirements in terms of resource adequacy. So being able to demonstrate that on any given day, if you're forecasting your load out, that you have a certain buffer to that load at any given time. The figures of that floating around 10, 20%, roughly speaking. So we know there's a significant cost that's going to come with that, but there's also going to be a benefit over time of our ability to have more access to transmission interconnection that will allow us to have greater flexibility to bring power from many more different sources that we might be able to be more flexible in choosing, for example. That said, I can't say with certainty or uncertainty that we might see some rate increase in 2026. So you can't hold it forever. We've held it much longer than almost any other co-op or utility in the state. We've seen some utilities that have different power suppliers have very significant and multiple increases in the same year. So we feel very solid in terms of our, as I mentioned, our cost management, our increased revenue generation in some areas, although electricity has been down a little bit. But the bottom line is we can't hold it forever. If you ask me, gun to my head today, we probably will have some rate increase in 2026 is what I would forecast. Yes, sir.
Hi, Gary Hubble here, candidate for District 3. AI is coming up on us like a freight train.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people don't really realize how much power that demands. And I think really in this country, we may have to triple our generation capacity. Am I wrong? So in other words, how are we going to meet this huge demand for more power?
Yeah. So AI definitely is going to increase the overall demand on power, and that's growing exponentially. You see that right now. In fact, most of the AI operators out there don't even care about the cost of power anymore. It used to be that they were trying to locate areas with the cheapest power. Now that's just growing, it's growing ahead of them, that they just need to meet the demand regardless of the power cost. I will say that if you look at the grid, the overall transmission grid of the western slope, we're just far enough west of the southwest power pool and just far enough east of the Cal ISO, which is the equivalent. And in between that, we've got the Rocky Mountains on one side, and we've got a lot of canyons to the Utah on the other side. So transmission hasn't been as robust in terms of construction in this kind of corridor here. So we, for example, are probably not a very attractive place for an AI operator to come and put a data center right now because we have transmission constraints on that. So we probably won't see that impact here of our need to be able to meet the demand of an AI mix, for example. Now that said, could there be some trickle effect across the nation? Absolutely. But we work with our power supplier very closely on a regular basis to ensure that they have the right resourcing and the right adequacy, plus the additional adequacy that we're going to need when we get into a regional transmission operating authority, that we're going to be covered. But that's something that we are very mindful of. We're not concerned about today. But if you look at it beyond DMEA, look at the industry as a whole, there's some real concerns, you know, if you go a decade out as to will we have the power? It's that very tough two-sided argument. If you want to be able to meet that and have AI computing, you're going to need siting, you're going to need permitting, you're going to be able to have rights of ways for transmission, increased transmission corridors, you're going to have permitting and site selection for increased base load generation. There can't be a sole reliability on intermittent resources that may only generate at a lower capacity factor, 30 or 40% capacity factors. So yes, the industry as a whole is definitely aware of that. I see it on the national scale, and we're going to see that wave. Not a definitive answer for you, but it's coming. So very astute. Thank you. Other questions? Okay. Thank you very much again. Another kudos to the fantastic DMEA team who put this together tonight, who do a fantastic job. I could not work with a better group of individuals. I could not work with a better board of directors, and I appreciate their support of me and my ability to be able to be here tonight and also to lead a great organization and meet that strategic vision. So with that said, I'm going to ask our General Counsel and Chief Compliance Officer, Sarah Abbott, to come up to offer the election results.
Thank you, Jack. It is my pleasure to conclude the 2025 director elections by announcing the results. However, I'd first like to thank all of our candidates for participating in this election. This year has been one of the most contested elections DMEA has seen in quite a few years, with 9 candidates vying for 3 seats, and each with an incumbent director running for re-election. This is a huge testament to the importance that members place on these positions, and a huge thank you to all who have shown their willingness to serve. This year's candidates for the South Region are Jock Fleming, Ken Norris, and Joseph Joe Simo. In District 3, Dimitri Stelter, Gary Hubble, and Jacob Gray. And in District 4, Robert Jeff Hubbard, Emily Sanchez, and Shelley Kelly. The results are as follows. In the South Region, Ken Norris received 2,254 votes, Jock Fleming 1,280 votes, and Joe Simo 1,200 votes. Please join me in congratulating Ken Norris on his election to the DMEA board. In District 3, the results are Jacob Gray, 3,362 votes, Gary Hubble, 1,031 votes, and Dimitri Stelter with 409 votes. Please join me in congratulating Jacob Gray on his reelection to the DMEA board. And in District 4, the results are 3,107 votes for Emily Sanchez, 1,215 votes for Jeff Hubbard, and 356 votes for Shelley Kelly. Please join me in congratulating Emily Sanchez on her reelection to the DMEA board. All right, I'll turn the floor back over to Stacia to wrap up the business meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much. For the final task, official task of this meeting, and as president of the board of directors, I attest that Delta Montrose Electric Association has no unfinished business tonight. Before I officially adjourn the meeting, I want to remind everyone that the grand prizes will be announced after we officially adjourn. If you haven't figured out who stole the sheep, don't worry, more great prizes, including $100 Guzman bucks, will be awarded at 7:30 p.m. tonight. We invite you to visit our booths for fun swag and information and enjoy the amazing local food and vendors and the Neon Sky Band outside. Thank you for your membership, attendance, and for helping us celebrate a truly remarkable year. We are adjourned, and I will turn it over to staff for grand prize announcements. Thank you.
Okay, the eager anticipation of the night. We'll start some of these prize awards. So the first grand prize of the evening is an iPad mini and new AirPods. So must be present to win, and the winner is Paul Schweitzer. It's Paul Schweitzer amongst us. I am not seeing anybody move to action that would claim a Paul Schweitzer. Just a reminder, you must be present to win. All right, we will jump to the next next award. Is his wife here? Oh. Yes. All right. Congratulations. Next, we have a PlayStation 5 Pro and gift card. And this one goes to Jonas Atchley. Is Jonas here? Jonas is here. Congratulations, Jonas. Next, we will draw for the Milwaukee electric mower and blower kit. Sorry, I'm going to butcher this one. Don Ulry. It's like Don Ulry. Don is with us. Congratulations. I have a couple more for the moment. Next will be a Milwaukee tool and combo kit. Lori Dahlman. Lori is here. Congratulations. And finally, for the moment, we have a brand new and highly anticipated Nintendo Switch 2. It just came out a few days ago with extra Joy-Cons. Okay. Alexander Eliande. Alexander Eliade. All right. That is one excited. That's awesome. All right, they told me we got one more to award for right now, and that is an iPad Air. Just the, oh, and the Apple Pencil. And that one goes to Kim Zanazir. Okay, that will conclude our prizes for the moment. We will come back in about 30 minutes. If anybody has to finish their clue game, please wrap those up, get them submitted, and we'll draw again for the final prizes. Thank you again for everybody attending tonight.